What's up, everybody? We're here at another NFC East show, and we're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and Roku TV. You only see two of us tonight. We got one guy who's traveling, got to see his seats for the first time ever in MetLife Stadium. And we have another guy who's got a lot of homework.
Yep.
It's summertime, so some of us have to do that. Drew, how you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. Just another week, just another, day that's passing along. One day closer to football season.
So, I will say I want to keep this on football for a minute because I know that that you always go, and I'll be going for the very first time to Canton, Ohio, for the Pro Football Hall of Fame inductions, the NFL Hall of Fame's inductions.
Yep.
However, there's another Philadelphia team that is playing there this weekend.
Yep.
And I initially was like, I don't know if I want to go or not, but I found out how cheap tickets were and that they're general admission.
Yep.
And, I was like, well, maybe it would be worth it for me to go out there to go see the Philadelphia Stars take on the Birmingham Stallions in the USFL Championship.
Yeah. I saw that. I saw the championship games or the games to get to that one, and they were pretty good.
Yeah, I thought that the refs really had a lot to say on the last few minutes. Like the refs didn't do much all game long, and then all of a sudden they started to dictate what was going to happen.
Yeah, and there was the pass interference with the out of bounds that had big implications, and it just didn't make any sense. And then I was hearing the description from the LA booth, and I was just scratching my head. You can't have both, two penalties. It just didn't make sense, but I guess that's part of getting accustomed to the USFL.
Well, it's definitely not NFL, but the refs are the refs everywhere. You know, and they're always going to, make those types of mistakes and stuff like that. So I may wind up going out there for this game.
Nice.
I think that it's such a rare opportunity, and it just so happens that there's a holiday the following day.
Yeah, there you go. Travel day.
So we'd be able to get home for, we travel day and nobody really drives anywhere on the 4th of July. So I was thinking maybe it would be something worthwhile to give it a shot.
There you go.
It's fairly inexpensive. It'd be a fairly inexpensive trip for people from Philadelphia to go do this. Probably, I was looking at it with pricing. If I was to rent a minivan and drive out there, because nobody's going to drive in my truck. Huh. Yeah, just the truck that would have cost as much as $500 for the trip. Going with that truck. But I'm gonna I think rent a minivan and see if there's some people that want to go out there, and $500 will get us 2 nights stay and a place, and a ticket for the game.
Yeah, and you can actually stay outside of the city itself. There's a little bit of Amish country there, and it's real nice, and the hotels around there aren't that bad. So, and the prices are a lot cheaper on the outskirts.
Right, I can imagine. I mean, I was going to definitely price line it because I want to keep it as minimal, inexpensive as possible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For that, but I mean, I feel like that would be something worthwhile to go do. It's just like these guys have been playing around nobody.
Yeah.
All season long. And I know what that's like. I used to do, when I started to do my birds breakdown 3 years ago, 3 years ago now, I used to do it by myself. It was a 45-minute show that I would do by myself. And I did it live in a room, where sometimes I had people, other times I did not, and you always got to make it seem like that you're playing for a crowd.
Yeah, and that's the way it goes.
And that's, it was interesting to watch these guys do that. The only team who really had that type of advantage was Birmingham. Yeah. Birmingham actually was able to, use that to their advantage, and they had like 2,500, 3,000, fans come see them, where none of the other teams would.
Yeah, and they it showed, and with the record and the influence that they had, and now that they're in the championship game, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I really wonder what's going to happen next year. Are they really going to start to go into the cities that they say they are, or are they just using the city names as, just because, it's like, hey, let's tie ourselves and see if there's any backing. Yeah, man, that's what makes me wonder about this. Like, I'm like, the Philly sports guy should be backing the Philadelphia Stars. I felt that it wasn't going to be the USFL until they made it to the championship. So now I believe it's the USFL, because that's what happens. If you're in the USFL, you watch Philadelphia compete for the championship, and it stayed true to form.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting on how they're going to work that, how they're going to try and offset all the costs, because I mean, we all know how expensive it is to travel single, let alone, 50 some team members, and then the coaching staff and the physical therapy, it's just crazy. So yeah, if they have the money, I can see that, but I think you're more right up, and, they'll probably just take the city names and play where they've been playing. I think
and that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it's going to be in Birmingham, or, that Canton is trying to become maybe the spot where this is happening. So at least if there was 2 spots that they could do this at,
the north and south. And what's crazy is both of those cities are pretty hard to get to. I mean, flying in, if you're going to be getting there either way. I mean, Canton's 30 minutes from Cleveland. Birmingham's really, that is a big outlet, but it's, not what everybody's used to.
Right. So it's like, it'll be interesting to see just how that all plays out. But in the meantime, I just was like, well, that's kind of football related. And
it's definitely football.
Since we're definitely winging it tonight because we are short staffed, it does make for an interesting day. So an interesting thing to happen.
Well, yeah, and we are in that slowdown season of the NFL. We're 3 weeks away from training camp, and I think everybody's just on the down low, just giving it that extra 25 days before everybody ramps up. So it is what it is.
It's literally 2 months away, just about.
Yeah.
It's like we got about 8 weeks in total before we actually see pads hitting other pads and such like that. So
Without
yes,
fun.
Cape May, the ugly mug. I ain't been there yet, but I know exactly where it's at. In fact, I've got, I'm hearing all different noises behind me. My kids have lightsabers. So if you see a big blue or red lightsaber come flying around my head, that just means that they're below me on the deck and stuff like that. Because I keep hearing, of that
Nothing
going
wrong
on.
with that.
So it's fun being on vacation. That's why I said it's summer vacation. I didn't want to try to make too many things happen. Billy, I guess you didn't tune in right away. Sneaky is traveling back from New York. He got his seats and got a tour of MetLife Stadium. And so he went up to New York to go check that out. You could definitely check that out on his TikToks. I should have downloaded it, but I did not download it. And Pork Rind is just got homework. Lots of homework. So he's taking these classes and needs to get done, as quickly as possible. So that's where he's at. And so it's just the two of us, and that's all right, because we could talk back and forth on who we think is going to be the team that actually wins the NFC East. And I know that it's me, but I'll let him at least think that he's got a shot here.
Oh, we do. And everybody's throwing their analytics out there. They're throwing their guesses. They're throwing everything. But until the first week of training camp, until everybody gets, fitted in and accustomed with their new teammates and everything, that'll be a better idea. So yeah, we'll let the pundits speak. Agree. Yeah, we'll let the pundits speak and keep speaking loud.
Well, plus anything that we say, we know that we're going to hear in Stephen A. Smith tomorrow. It's like
or one of them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's. I know that they're stealing our content all the time, and that's okay. That's all right. You guys are allowed to steal it. We're letting you. We know that we're the smart ones in this group. But let's since it's just the two of us, and we can go back and forth. Let's talk about what we think what the other teams are going to do. It's interesting when we hear it from them. But what do you think? Where do you feel that the Giants are going to be at this year? What's their record going to be?
I think the Giants are going to be okay. The question really is a quarterback situation. What's going to be done with that, with Daniel Jones? How everything's going to be ran out? I'm not going to give them a high percentage of win. I mean, I'm going to give them a little bit under 500. I guess I can say it that way. I think they're probable at getting 8 wins. It's going to be interesting because of their schedule. I just think the quarterback is all up in the air. They might win the first game right off the bat, maybe, but even then, it's going to be hard to tell. You know how teams start. They start off hard, rough, tough. Second, third game, that tells you everything you need to know if they're going to have a losing season. So I think, it's going to be one game under 500 for them.
Well, what is it that they have started the last 4 seasons as 1-4?
Yeah.
I feel like they may break that trend and actually go 2-3.
Yeah.
I think that they wind up actually winning only 7 games. I have them 7-10. And I think that they're improved.
Yeah.
I think they move on from Daniel Jones.
I do as well.
I think Daniel Jones quits on the team. That's what I feel like is going to happen here.
I don't see him quitting, but I do see him dissipating and just moving to the side. There's no sense of contract talks are out the window. There's there's nothing there for him. Saquon Barkley, I mean, that's another question in itself. And it's going to be curious to see how these guys intermingle as a team, especially with the new GM and the new head coach. So it's not going to be anywhere where Cincinnati was at, or stuff like that with the new head coach coming in.
Well, I think that because he's got a new GM, a new coach, and they gave him no vote of confidence, that he is figuring he's going to move on. And why would you go get yourself hurt?
Exactly.
And that's what I feel. I feel like so. So yes, that is a strong word that I use there, Michael. That quits is a very strong word. I don't know how else to put it. Like you can't play half-ass. You can't do that. Then you definitely get hurt that way. And I don't think you wish an injury on anybody. I think he just kind of plays,
nonchalant.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You got to see it from the standpoint of him and his career right now. I mean, this is year 5 for him. And he's going into this with a, no vote of confidence, like you said, no contract talks. They didn't even give him the 5th-year option, I believe.
Right.
Or,
no, they did not give him at all.
You have to sit there as a QB, and then, of course, you want to prove everybody wrong. You got a lot of weight on your shoulders, but at the same time, you got to think about your future and say, hey, well, if I don't last here, I got to move on to some other team. So I got to stay healthy for that, just in case that occasion occurs, which I think it will. But
right. So I think I have them going 7-10. I think they will win some games. I think their defense has improved. I think they have an easy schedule. But I still don't think that they are going to compete for the East in any manner. I think that the only team that they will beat in the East is Washington, because for some reason or another they have Washington's number.
Yeah, and we got them week 3 Monday Night Football. That's going to be a huge game in itself.
Is that at home or away?
That's in New York.
Got you. Because I was going to say, if that's the week 3 for us, when there was a week 3 and we went to you guys and that was your home opener, and also Jimmy Johnson's day and stuff like that. That was a raucous day.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if that was going to be that same type of situation, but no, I guess not.
No, we got them towards the very end at home finally. Yeah, it's going to be a fun week 3 up there.
So, all right. So we got them out of the way. The Commanders.
Commanders are going to be doing, I understand the respect that the coach has, Coach Rivera has, as a defensive guy. He's entitled to get that respect that he needs, but the style of coaching, I believe, is a little bit, it's not what it should be with him towards his players as the other defenses are now. I mean, the style of coaching is way different than what all the other teams are going. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what I'm saying is, I don't see that vote of confidence within him because of the offensive side.
I'm sorry. Give me 1 sec. You keep going. I'm listening to you guys.
No, and then, like I'm saying, it's a no. Coach Rivera has one of the strictest guidelines for the defense, but again, it's not what the coaching is going to be putting out. It's what the players are going to be showing him. I mean, he can tell them what he wants done. He can care about the system. They can care about this and that. But I believe ultimately it's going to be the defensive players that are either going to step in or they're going to step out.
And do you think they will?
I'm going to say they're going to play for him, but you can only play for so long if you're not getting the job done on the offensive side. And I don't see that with Carson Wentz. So you're putting a lot of weight on the defense, and putting that weight on the defensive players, you're putting all that weight on the coach. So it's going to be interesting. And then with everything else going on, with the owner and the team and everything else, that brings a lot into the team itself. That brings a lot of weight into, I mean, I wouldn't want to be Daniel Snyder, but
no, and I think it's going to add a lot of drama, a ton of drama. That's like baggage, lots of baggage that you're going to wind up dealing with. So,
and then you're trying to deal with the media, and then the city that you're in, and then with all the talk of the stadium being in Virginia as compared to where it's at currently, they're still trying to get viable options. That's a lot of drama for one team in one city. I mean, that's a lot.
I agree.
So I think that's going to weigh in on them.
So it'll be interesting all the way around. I think that they're going to stink. I initially thought that they were going to wind up going 8-9, but I think that really it finally implodes.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that towards the beginning, a couple of wins and then them exploding towards the end, especially with the QB, the situation that they've got going on. And again, it's the coaching staff having to deal with the defense and the defense having to deal with the offense. I just don't think, the defense is going to be tired.
Yeah, because they're going to be out there a lot, and then they're going to, and then Wentz is going to be throwing touchdowns to the wrong people and stuff like that. It'll just be like olden days.
Yeah.
Actually, he actually had a pretty good season last year, even though he lost against the Jaguars at the end.
Yeah.
He actually had a pretty good season. So they blamed it all on him. I don't,
as they should have.
Fair. I don't think that they should have done.
I do. I think that's fair in point in cases because of the scoring. They didn't score when they needed to, and while they had a running game, they weren't doing what they should have been in the passing game. That playoff game, they really stunk it up, and it showed. And they had a vote of confidence in him with the head coach, and dealing with him in Philly. You think you're going to go with what you got, and you did, and that's why he's no longer there. And I don't know how he got out of that contract. I don't know how the Colts got out of that contract and made Washington pick it up, but that's whoever did that's genius.
Well, you're going to spend that much money for a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that he's a stopgap for Washington. You know what I mean? I think that saves you from having to, if you don't do very well this year, you were going to be able to pick a quarterback because this is a quarterback-rich class that's coming out. So I fully believe that they will do one of two ways. They'll tank for Tua, you know what I mean, or something similar to that, or they will actually try to play out and he will play well.
Yeah.
I just think that there's so much drama that goes around with everything else that it's not really feasible. I think that they're going to wind up, like I said, imploding. And
yeah. And if there's any Washington fans out there right now that have something different to say, I'd like to hear it because I know they're excited about the new logo. I know they're excited about the name and the jerseys and the colors and everything.
Are they though? Are they? I think that they're playing. Oh, at least we have a team name now.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's do you want your team to actually win or do you want that high draft pick? Because I feel like that's kind of both they're in right now.
Yeah, well, and it's how do you? I guess you could pay your guys to lose. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the thing that's happening in the NFL right now. Like owners are paying their coaches to lose. I don't know if Ron Rivera would be like that.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think allegedly. I don't think any coach would do what they say is done allegedly, but to tank a whole year, that's just. When I heard that out of Miami, that's why it always affected me to say, well, why are you treating your fans that way?
Right.
If it's
true, that one guy I sat next to who has been a season ticket holder for 53 years. He missed 2 games ever.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
Exactly. And then, that's why if anybody does that, and then I'm going to say this, if any owner or anybody in position of power ever tells a head coach or a GM or somebody there's intermingles within the organization that says that they need a tank, if anybody doesn't come out and state right off the bat, this is what I was told to do and put some kind of proof to the punch, you shouldn't be in the league because the fans are what makes your team. And if you're conducting your business and your organization that way, you need to be dealt with as a whole. And I think that's the type of stuff that needs to be looked at.
Right. And it's, you can't make a franchise do, if they want to decide to go that route, there's nothing that really in the rules that say you have to play.
Exactly.
So, and it's like, okay, well, is it going to look frowned upon? Well, of course, I can imagine, that you never want to go 0-16 or 0-17.
No.
And I got to imagine that, like when Detroit did that a couple years ago, when Cleveland did that a couple years ago, that you are battling those last few weeks. You try to start to battle to at least save face.
Yeah.
You don't want to be on the cup that says that you didn't win a game.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. And yeah, and that's a good position of the Detroit Lions and Cleveland Browns where they were at, and as many losses as they suffered. Hey, I've been there. We went 1-15. I understand. I get it. And as a fan, it really hurts knowing that you're going to have to watch that team the following week play somebody that they're going to lose to with the talent that you got all around. So I know the struggles, but yeah, as a fan, you don't ever want to be put in that position,
right?
By the team themselves. So
yeah, I mean, I think. Now, like I said, I think that it's just going to happen naturally with Washington, and of course I'm saying this without Pork Rind here because I want him to feel like he's at least, he's got a little something, to go off of. But realistically, I think that they are, and I feel bad for him because he does support this team. You know what I mean? Him and Chris, that like the hog farmers, they do go out of their way. They do a lot for charity, in the name of the Commanders.
Yep.
And that, he's got that loyalty. That's, that's great for that. But I think he's going to have a lot of crying this year. A lot of crying.
Yeah. And then the schedule and everything else. I know we've got them, and then that's the crazy thing. We have them as the last game, and there is not even a scheduled time yet. So that tells me a lot. Yeah,
that you guys could be playing on Saturday.
Yeah. It's like, what?
Yeah, Saturday at like 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, we'll get somebody to watch this game, maybe, because it'll be the only game on. So listen, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break here because we're halfway through, and the next two teams we get to talk about are the Eagles and the Cowboys. So we'll be back right after these few commercial messages.
I see them blue by me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Wait, no, you gotta get me at the random. I'm not prepared.
What a wonderful world. What a wonderful
Foundation is excited to bring back the Dream Ride experience, August 26th to the 28th at Connecticut's Farmington Polo Club. Join us in celebrating the accomplishments of our Dream Riders while enjoying live music, a car and motorcycle show, family fun zone, pet adoptions, canine demonstrations, the Fireman's Chili Cook-Off, and much, much more. Get your tickets today.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, isn't he?
And we're back. Look at that. I even got the music interlude to come into. You know, I tell you, I'm learning all about this software now.
There you go.
And also the other thing I just wanted to mention is that the Philly sports guy, myself, has a new show that's going to be airing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the Roku channel. So you can only find it on the Roku channel. You can go to the Northeast Streaming Sports Network. You'll be able to see it from 9 to 9:30. We're going to just talk Philly sports, go over the previous day's events, and, you know, go up against I want to start to go up against Stephen A, because I think nobody needs to listen to him. They can just listen to me. Anyways,
there you go.
So as we're going with that, as we'll go back to what we were talking about before, this time we'll talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. And I would like an unabridged opinion of what you think of how the Eagles are going to do this season.
I think the Eagles are going to do fairly well in the NFC East. I think that you guys had a strong draft. Of course, y'all guys had a strong draft. I think the thing that's going to be hampering you, though, is the quarterback play. I really believe that that's going to be the one Achilles heel that you guys are going to suffer from, is because you've got great players around, but the quarterback situation is not going to be what everyone thinks it's going to be. I like the kid, but you know what? He's coming out and he's playing a tough division, which we are. I think the first 6 games are going to be really easy peasy for you guys, if I should even say that. But I think the stretch going down the line, I think you guys, I'm going to put you guys over 500. I am going to put you over 500 for that. I think it's going to be a tight division, and I think when we come up there and play, I think that's going to set the tone for the season. I think that game right there, because our division is so tough. But that game right there, once the Dallas Cowboys and Washington, or once the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles face off each other, that win right there is going to carry a lot of momentum with it, I believe.
It'll dictate who wins the East, you think, from that game.
Yes.
And what's that? That's in week what? 4, 5?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an early one.
Yeah, actually, I'll have to look it up right now while we're doing
it's
this.
an early one, and that's why I'm saying is that momentum right there is what's going to carry. The bye week too is going to have a lot to do to see who we've got that later in the season. So late October, I believe, November.
Yeah, we have ours. We have ours in November. We play, of course, it's right before my birthday.
Yep.
So, and I want to say it's definitely a Sunday. It's Sunday night football.
Yeah.
So Sunday night football, week 2, 3, 4, 5, week 6.
Yep.
So we'll have had a little bit of a season ahead of us, playing on week 6, but Monday night football for my 50th birthday. And
there
you guys
go.
are coming, and you guys are coming to Philly, right? That is, yes, you guys are coming to Philly.
Yeah.
So
And that's why I'm saying it's going to be one of those momentum carriers. While it's still before the bye week, it's going to be enough to say, okay, that these are where the teams are at right now. And I'm not saying that's going to be the ultimatum as far as the season is concerned. What I'm saying is that just for the NFC East in a whole.
Well, yeah, because that is our first NFC East game.
Yep.
We do play, and we do play the NFC a little bit, but actually that's not true. We do play the Commanders in week 3. Yeah, I almost said the Commodores there.
Yeah. So, and the way the schedule was put out there, I mean, again, it's kind of frustrating. It's like, okay, I get how they went this way. I've seen, the analytics or whatever they have for the Amazon cloud and how many different courses. There's still a lot better ways that they can go about this. I mean, you've got 5 primetime games, correct? We've got 5.
Let's see. I know that we have,
and that's the thing. Yeah, it's expected that everybody can have their primetime games.
2, because we got that Monday Night Football, that weirdo Monday Night Football game
with the 2.
And then we have the Thursday night game against the Texans. And then Christmas Eve. We're doing a Christmas Eve dance on Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
I think most of the teams play on that Saturday. So it's a 4:00 game on that Saturday, because we also have Monday night. Yeah, there's a couple of Monday night games, because it's like for a little while we play 8:15, 8:20. Like 3 out of 4 games we play after 8:00. Once against the Packers, once against Washington, once against the Texans, and then you guys are early in the season, along with Minnesota for Monday night.
Yeah, and the thing I don't like about our games is that, we got several noon games, not one games, noon games for us.
Right.
Which is not fun at all. So, yeah, I'm hoping the NFL does do something for that to push, back just, an hour or so. It doesn't have to be much. Just, put another team ahead or whatever it may be, but just because then you look at the West Coast times. I think that's something that still needs to be worked on for the East and West Coast, the time differentials between the start and, because West Coast, of course, starts later unless they're flying to the East Coast, and then they put those games early. I don't know. It's just
right. Well, I think that they started. I think that they started to do that specifically to be able to give East Coast teams more of the home field advantage. When you do an 8:00 game or a 4:30 game, because the team flew, from LA.
Yeah,
that gives them a home field advantage. They're used to playing at that time. You know what I mean? So I feel like that a football player's day doesn't change. That they wake up at 6:00 in the morning at game day. You know what I mean? So they're just going to wake up at 10:00 in the morning on game day when it's a 4:30 game. You know what I mean? It's just it's almost like they get to sleep in a little bit later.
Yep.
So and then their routine kind of kicks. So I fully believe that they did that purposely. You know what I mean? That's done now. Who cares if anybody watches on the West Coast? We know the truth of the matter is that nobody does. The Rams, who's claiming that that's their house, we couldn't tell because it was always the other team that was there. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I got a couple of buddies from the West Coast, and when they're here in this area, they just Monday Night Football. They're used to Monday Night Football at 5:00, right? And it's like nope, 7:00 Central, 8:00 Eastern.
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's late here. It's late here.
Yeah.
But 5:00 being over there, because then the game's over, and then you can still go out and have a few drinks.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's just one of the things I think that still. I mean, there's still plenty of time. Not, of course, not these next couple of years, but to do something with the times when the games are played.
Yeah, well, I don't think that they're going to switch them around like that. They want to keep these games going off at the same exact time. They don't
Oh
want to
yeah,
stagger them.
yeah. I just want them pushed out a little further, on Sundays. In during the late times, out during the beginning, and that's why I'm saying even add another game during the day, so that they can get them in on time, depending on what part of the country they're playing in.
Got you. Well, yeah. The problem is that you're just saying, "Hey, well, you don't like the 12 o'clock games." That's all you're crying about.
Hell
I
yeah.
understand. I know. I get it. Because you got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning too.
4 o'clock.
There you go. See, that. Maybe you just got to live in Dallas.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt.
All that traveling back and forth.
All that traveling. Not only that, it'd be a lot easier for the airports.
So you have the Eagles going what 9-8, 10-7?
I got you guys going. I got you guys going 10-7.
10-7.
Yeah, and I said that the last time we're giving out those numbers. And the reason I'm being is like I said, is I just don't think your quarterback has the. I don't think he has the arm. First of all, I think he has great legs. I think he has the decision making. I just don't think he has the arm to back it up. And after a while, you're going to get tired of running.
See, I disagree with that because he did it all last year. I think that the arm strength has gotten a little bit better in terms of he just got stronger. Now, I don't know what that means in the grand scheme of things, but if that's how that works, if he's gotten stronger and it makes for a quicker release, then I'm all game for it. He trained all off season with Tom Brady's coach. He had Tom Brady next to him a little bit, so some of that's going to have to rub off. It's going to have to.
You would hope so.
I want to see. I need to see him out there. Obviously, I am not going to just assume that he's going to be good. I want to see him out there. But once I see him out there, I'm like, okay. It's like I think that he has the possibility of doing really well. And if he does really, really well, then I don't see any reason on why he couldn't be. We couldn't go 11-5. 12-4.
And I just think it's going to be the scheme of things too with the defenses he's going to be going against. I think that's where he's going to have his obstacles. I think reading the defense is going to be the telltale sign, and you'll be the first person to understand that from the game, y'all's first game, to see what he does to read those defenses, to see if they did any ploys to change it up so that he doesn't beat them like he did last year. And I think they will. I think the linebackers and the safeties will come in on them.
Yeah, well, I think that's where the fact that we have better weapons is really going to come into play.
Yep.
AJ Brown's going to be able to take real good part in this. I feel that right now. I feel that Rager being the fourth option is actually going to help him. Being the number 2, it wasn't really his speed. I like the fact that he's going to beat out. If Jalen Reagor is our fourth option at wide receiver, that's a pretty good.
And the other thing too is that you better not depend on AJ Brown just because he's a big body kid. You know what I mean? That you're just going to be throwing the ball up in the air and he's going to be going getting it, because that's not how it works with that guy.
Right. No, actually, I like the fact that Devontae Smith, I think he's going to take some pressure away from Devontae Smith. And Devontae Smith is going to get his. I think out of the two of them, Devontae Smith is going to have the better season.
There you go.
I think Dallas Goedert also has a pretty good season. So
he's a hell of a tight end.
Yeah, and then it becomes a matter of, all right, are we going to have which running back is really going to take the ball and run with it, quite literally. So I believe it's going to be Gainwell. I don't believe that it's going to be Sanders. So I just see some of the writing on the wall. I think it would be worthwhile. We'll see. We'll see if it actually comes to fruition. But I believe that we could, on the very upside, go 13-4. that's getting all the breaks in the right direction. You know what I mean? I'm not
definitely
saying all that. I think that we go 11-6, but I also believe that we make a big jump in the playoffs. That we will have a similar situation that we did like under Andy Reid, where he made the playoffs the first year or his second year in, and then took like a double step. And like we weren't supposed to be in the conference championships, but we were. And we brought it down to like a 14-13 game, with against the Rams. I thought we could have beaten the Rams. It's just it didn't happen. So
well,
just imagine if we did beat the Rams, that would have been the Eagles Patriots game 1. That happened 3 times. That'd have been 3 times instead of 2.
Yep.
But c'est la vie, it didn't happen that way.
C'est la vie. Yeah. And for the Cowboys, I think we're going to do fairly well. Dak Prescott is working his butt off right now. He's doing a lot of things, and of course, you've probably heard in the media he's going to be having more runs. You're going to hear that You're going to be hearing the option of him running more because the ankle's a lot better and everything else. I believe that his legs are going to get him a little bit more what he's doing. I think also Ezekiel Elliott being healthy, that's going to have a big time hill, on the team as a whole. I do believe we're it's going to be a while since anybody's done it, but I believe the Cowboys are going to go back to back with the NFC East Championship. We're going to be 12-5. I think
it's great to have hopes and dreams.
Oh, it is. You got to. You got to.
You know what? I understand why Dak is going to have to run with the ball some because you guys did not improve your offensive line, and I feel that he is, that it was starting to falter a little bit at the end of the season last year.
Oh, big time.
And that he is, so everybody loves to talk about his passing stats. And before he got hurt last year, he had so many passing yards, but he was 1-4. He lost all those games with all those passing yards, and then he got hurt. So now you got last year. Last year he passed well. He had great days, but he had bad days too. And ultimately, it's he can't win a big one.
No, and that's the thing. And as we spoke about last week, discipline on the offensive line, discipline on the quarterback position, but we need the most discipline coming out of the coaching staff. Coaching staff really let us down last year. They didn't show any sense of urgency, and that's the part that really got me pissed off. I was like, I want to see you coaches going on the sidelines, pounding these guys in the shoulder pads and talking some sense into them. Our offensive lines that are gone, Leo Collins and Connor, I was like kind of relieved when that happened. I was like, well, there just went 75% of our penalties. I mean, seriously.
I get it. Yeah,
I was like,
we have those problems on the defensive line. The offsides. We get those offsides calls at the worst times. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
it's always Barnett. No, it's Derek Barnett. But
yeah, and that's the thing too. Is just it's just the little things that kill teams. And last year we just had so many of them, and I was just. I was ready just to go get some tape and tape these guys' hands just so they couldn't hold anymore. I mean, that's how bad it was getting to me. I'm just like, you can't collar the guy with your arm. You can't clothesline the guy. You play offense, be a lineman, do what you got to do. But I think what the improvement that we got is the new kid, Tyler Smith. I think the kid is big. He's rugged. Guy has raw power. It's all going to come down to coaching. So.
And I hope you do well enough so that McCarthy remains the coach, because I want him to be the coach for the rest of time because I think he stinks.
Well, we all know that doesn't happen.
So yeah, exactly. Eventually, he's going to stink it up well enough that he's going to get fired.
Well, he'll get a Super Bowl this year, and then we'll move on from him.
Yeah, well, I doubt that. I seriously doubt that. I wouldn't bet. I know you don't bet any money.
No, I don't.
I would take that. I would take that bet. I would absolutely hold that bet. Yeah, the moment.
No.
Yeah, actually, I think I do. Like I said, I would be interested in putting a bet on the Eagles making it to the conference championship. I think that would actually have some pretty good odds. I know that they had a pretty good offseason and whatever, but they're still like 6th in the NFC.
Well, you're a gambling man, so you have time to go bet on Vegas.
Oh. You gotta have the money first to be able to do that. And
yeah,
I'm gonna let that slide because I can't afford to lose it just yet. But I don't make the big bucks like you do with all the sponsors.
Look, I know my buddy Tailgate Joe's the one that told me about it, and that's why I was just harping on that a little bit. Was he goes, the thing I always do is I always go put my insurance bet down so that I say this is going to happen and this is going to happen. I lay down that bet, and if it happens, guess what? There's my Super Bowl ticket. And I was like, that's not a bad idea, actually.
There you go. And if it doesn't happen, it's just gone.
You're out $100.
Exactly. Could be worse. But I hopefully I listen, maybe I will do that, go to the conference championship, but it could be a home game, so then I'd make some money.
There you go.
To the Super Bowl. So going to the Super Bowl would be fun to do. It would be nice if they made it there. I don't expect that they do. I think that that this is going to be Tom's last hurrah.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Yeah, I know, because you see Dallas going.
Well, I mean, it's a little more than that. Last year, the way Tom Brady played, don't get me wrong, he played excellent football. Another year older, another year wiser, of course. But, everybody just got faster on him because he got older. Well, that's something that needs to be looked at. And you can be protected all you want, but as well as I do at that age, you can be an elite athlete, but there's always going to be some kid out there twice as fast coming to hound you down.
True.
So
hey, listen, I'm all right with that. I wouldn't mind seeing them in the conference championship, because then I know sometimes, I feel like that it would be just apropos. The two quarterbacks that practice together in the offseason meet in the conference championship. That would be apropos.
Well, we've got them week 1, Sunday Night Football. So that day right there is going to be.
Again, this is the second time in a row you guys got them week 1, right?
Yes. Sunday Night Football this time. So
last time was Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
Because they had just won the Super Bowl.
Yep. So it's going to be a Sunday ordeal. If you everybody will be in town. Everybody will be starting at noon. So
it'll be a fun day. Yeah, are you guys? Is it a home game?
What's that?
It's a home game.
Yeah, it's a home game for us.
Oh, nice. All right, got you. Yeah, last year it took you 3 weeks to get your first home game. You guys were the last team to have a home game.
Yeah, and if you remember, that's where I almost passed out.
Yep.
Still 100 degrees out there, and I almost passed out from not having any water.
Yeah, I know that we kept going back and forth to go get some.
Oh my goodness.
It was a hot. Plus, like I said, it was a raucous crowd. Like I said, it was the most raucous I'd ever seen Dallas.
Yeah.
I most of the time they're pussycats down there. They're really not that active.
Yeah, and we were talking about that last week, and the younger crowd too has come into its own. I believe, one thing that I've always complained about the stadium, not the stadium itself, is the fans that come to the stadium is how beautiful the stadium is, and nobody wants to get into the game because they're too relaxed. They're like, I just spent this much money for my seats, and I'm going to sit down in them. And it's like, no, you're at a football game, man.
Yep.
You're at a football game. So when somebody stands up, don't be yelling for them to sit down. Sorry. That's not how this world works, but that's how they want it to go. And that's some of the stuff that obsessed me the most about that stadium. I'm like, okay, we get it. We know everything's expensive, but you got to root for your team. You got to stand up. You got to cheer. You got to do the things that nobody else is doing. This is your home. You got to be part of this. I guess that's what nobody sees. You got to be part of the game.
Yes. Well, and that's one of the things that we as super fans understand implicitly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm going to start to offer this year. I don't know if it's something that you've ever thought about, but I am offering to any clients of Philly Sports Trips that if they would like to do the Philly Sports Guy experience, where they can come to a game with me, that they get to see what it's like. I can go as crazy as putting them on face paint, and stuff like that, and have them go crazy. But most of the time, people aren't. It's hard to be me.
Yep.
It's very hard to be me. So I don't expect people to be me, but they can see the game through my eyes and what it takes to be me. Because I'm not a better fan than anybody else, but I am more vocal. I am more energetic. And like I said, I don't boo. So I'm very positive all the time. I'm always engaging with other fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm there to make the game enjoyable. And by doing that, they hear you. They hear me. I know that they do.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? They don't have a choice, really, because I am that loud. But that's beside the point. You know what I mean? It's like they want that type of reaction, especially at home. And Philadelphia people travel very, very well. So,
yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing about, fans and fandom and everything else. I mean, fanatics, that's what we are. We're crazy that way. But at the same time, you want to have fun doing it. And I think that's where a lot of it gets lost on other folks that are just angry all the time. You can get angry at the other team, just don't get angry at the fan.
Right. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the fans. You know what I mean? It's like we all get paid the same amount of money to be fans of our own team. And when they are not my mother. The team is not my mother. So I never ever have to defend their honor. They get paid millions upon millions of dollars. If you want to say they stink, okay, they stink. Good for you. I'm glad that you feel that way. But I don't stink because they stink. You know what I mean? It's like just because you may think that I have implicit taste in football teams, and I think that your taste is just terrible. That's okay. We're allowed to believe that. You know what I mean? That's what makes us human. So
that's the thing. That's the thing, and I wish more folks would see that. It's just like, hate the opposing team, not the fan, and have fun doing it, because it makes the game more fun that way. When you can sit back and you can go back and talk and banter about everything that happened during that game,
right?
Because what you got to remember, the only part you have control over is how loud you get.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct.
Only part, and people better realize, in our home crowd of Dallas, you have more to do with that game on being loud than anybody else could ever think, because it does get in people's heads, and you know that as well as I do.
Oh, hey, listen, when we go back to the Saints Eagles game, playoff game in 2018 or 2019, it really is when it happened. I fully take credit. I take full credit for that first play interception. It's literally because I was the only one screaming, and he looked over at me. He's like, "Don't somebody shut this guy up?" You know what I mean? It was just nonstop, because you could hear a church mouse when they're on offense. It's when they're on defense that it gets really loud. So when it's on offense, I was like, I go crazy. But
yeah, and that's it. That's it, man. You got to do it. I did it on the Washington side last year when I had to sit right behind those guys, and they were getting tired of me yelling and rooting for the Cowboys, and they were just like, man, who's going to get that guy out of here? And it was just like, Sorry.
Here I am. But so our hour is done. Even with the two of us, it goes by fast. So we appreciate everybody who tuned in and watched us tonight. And please find us on the Roku channel moving forward. And as always, until next week, go Birds.
How about them